We join our heroes locked in a battle of wits.
The Aquaphone! What is it, Chief? Hello? 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 Oh, that phone is still broken. Remind me to...
Hey yous, yuns, and y'alls, welcome back to Let Him Cook. I'm your host, Pragmatic EDH, coming at you live with a new hot one. We got Bilbo, Retired Burglar. Bilbo the Retired Burglar is a 3-drop red and blue halfling rogue that is 1/3 that has the abilities of when it enters or leaves the battlefield, the Ring Tempts You. It also has whenever it deals combat damage to a player tagged on, you just make a treasure. Nice and spicy, real simple, let's dive in, but before we do, I'd like to remind everybody to like, comment, and subscribe. It's no big deal for you, but it really helps me out, and I'd really appreciate it if you did at least one of those things. So diving into Bilbo himself, Bilbo is a creature that acts as an engine for us to be tempted by the ring. Tempted by the ring is a new mechanic that says when you're tempted, you create an emblem, similar to like the Monarch. Each player can only have one. Basically what it does is every time you're tempted, you increase the level of the ring's temptation. And with that comes different abilities that the ring will give you. It is all of the listed abilities prior up to the level that you are at. So if you're at level 3, you get levels 1, 2, and 3, not just level 3. Bearing this in mind, we are going to check to see what the bearer of the ring gets for each of its levels of temptation. So level 1 says your creature that is your ring bearer is legendary and cannot be blocked by creatures with greater power. This is a great evasion tool. The second level says whenever your ring bearer attacks, draw a card, discard a card. Looting on attack is very useful, especially if any ways to attack again, or we're just going to buff up our amount of card draw we get. The third level says whenever your ring bearer does become blocked by any creature, that creature's controller sacrifices it into combat, meaning your creature will not want to be blocked by gods at level 3. The fourth and final level, your ring bearer gains the ability that when they deal combat damage to a player, each opponent loses 3 life. Now, something to note is you cannot give your ring bearer to other people. Each player can only control a single ring bearer, and the ring temptation is based on each player separately.
I need it!
Moving on from the rulings and understanding how a mechanic works to now how to use it, particularly obviously about being tempted by the ring. So this deck is a combat-based deck that focuses on ring bearer abilities mixed with the combat damage abilities of creatures we control. We get all the effects because we give pseudo-unblockable to our creatures. We also will be pushing our opponent's life totals lower and lower the farther we really go into a game by just using our effects. This will cause a little bit of problems for us if we don't have any sort of like safety. So keep in mind, you will probably get a crackback when you do this. Our next practical use of our deck that's centralized around our commander is really getting our ring to a full level of temptation. And how we're going to achieve this doesn't super matter. Really what our goal is to fully tempt ourselves as a player and then have a ring bearer with a relevant effect. Making sure that we're properly targeting relevant targets in order to be our ring bearers so we don't have to constantly reselect them. The idea is either we can force removal or we can gain value, both of which are excellent for us. As with our third and final ability, we do use a bit of control to establish and maintain dominance over our opponents once we've gotten ahead. And this deck only gets better the longer the game goes on. So instead of full diving on really MVPs, I'm just going to mention a best in class, or at least my favorite cards from each card type. Just to note, there are 2 artifacts on here, mostly because equipment is very important, and this is just an emphasis, so we have 5 total cards. The first card we're going to look at is Twinferno. Shockingly, it's our instant. It's a 2-drop red instant that says choose one. When you cast your next instant or sorcery spell this turn, copy it. You may select new targets for the copy, or you give target creature you control double strike until the end of the turn. Now, modularity is excellent. We really like to have options, especially in many scenarios. This is good at giving us double strike when we need it on a very impactful turn, or allowing us to copy a relevant instant or sorcery during the turn that we really need to resolve, or resolve twice. The second best in class is going to be our enchantment. It's a 2-drop red enchantment called Break Through the Line. It has the ability of pay 1 red, target creature with power 2 or less gains haste, and cannot be blocked this turn. This is an excellent tool in both our deck and is a political tool against our opponents. Our next up is our creature. It is Lizard Blades. Lizard Blades is a 2-drop 1/1 with double strike and reconstruct for 2, which turns it into an equipment that gives the equipped creature double strike. This is a very potent tool in our deck as it allows us to get all of our on-hit effects twice. It itself being a double striker means that we're safely able to turn it into our ring bearer, and the fact that it's a 2-drop coming out before our commander just makes it that much more valuable. Our best in class for our sorcery is going to be Stolen Identity. Stolen Identity is a 6-drop blue sorcery that says create a token that's a copy of target artifact or creature. It also has Cipher. Cipher says as you cast the spell you may exile it, and air quotes encode it onto a creature, meaning think of it as a one-time instance of an aura, because otherwise the card is an exile and you won't be able to cast it again. So functionally what happens when you have this aura attached to your creature is anytime the equipped creature deals combat damage to a player, cast a copy of the encoded card without paying its mana cost. This is very potent in a deck full of creatures that are meant to be nigh unblockable, and especially once we have double strike. This will allow us to use our opponent's creatures to pull ahead and our own board state to lock our opponents out if needed. Finally, our artifact best in class is going to actually be another equipment just like Lizard Blades. Sorry for the cop-out. Equipment are just that important in this deck. Hexblade Wallbreaker is a 5-drop red equipment that has 4 Mirrodin, meaning when this enters, it enters with a 2/2 red rebel creature token attached to it. This also gives +2/+2, and whenever the equipped creature attacks, if it is the first combat phase of the turn, untap each attacking creature, and after this phase there is an additional combat phase. It has the equip cost of 3 generic and 1 red. This is a rather expensive card to move around as we please, however its effect of giving us additional combats is so very valuable to us that we are willing to eat the bullet on using this thing. As we move to closing, I'd like to do a quick review of exactly what we really need to know about this commander. First, this commander uses its commander for the Ring Bearer effect, and really for value early. Make sure we're not. Second, this deck curves out fairly low, and prioritizing card draw in your opening hand is going to be extremely important so as not to screw yourself over. Third and finally, remember that the second level of temptation and the 4th level of temptation are what this deck is built around using, while the first level of temptation, which we get just from our commander coming out once, is how the deck is meant to achieve those. Once again, I'd like to thank everyone for watching this more low-key version of Let Him Cook. I'd like to remind everyone and invite everyone to join the Discord for online games, particularly Friday next week, June the 29th at 6 p.m. Central Standard Time, for games that I will record and will go on the channel. Your voice will not be recorded if you're worried about that. What we're going to do is just play some games. I'm going to take notes, and then I'll edit it out. It'll be really fun. Feel free to hop in and join us. Pragmatic out.